This is also what has happened, I believe, at the FBI during this collusion investigation, this Russian collusion investigation. The more I have thought about this, it's easy to see this as a conspiracy against Donald Trump, and I think in some ways it was a conspiracy against Donald Trump. But if you look at it from the point of view of the people who did it, the guys like James Comey and John Brennan, and the people who started this and leaked it to the press and made sure it went on after Trump was elected, I sort of can see what they were seeing from their positions of power. Remember, this is after 8 years of Barack Obama. So one group has had the power in these groups and have been appointing these people for 8 years. And they're fully expecting Hillary Clinton to continue that reign of incompetence into the next 4, if not another 8 years. That's a long, long time to have power. And so they see this upstart coming up, this Donald Trump who has bad manners, who doesn't know a lot, who doesn't seem like he's ever read the Constitution, and who said a lot of stupid stuff about Russia, who kind of took Putin on his word, who kept saying, it would be a good thing if we could get together, when again and again we had already seen George W. Bush fooled by Putin and another president named Barack Obama completely fooled by Putin. They had both been fooled, and Putin had revealed himself to be a murderous wannabe czar. That is who Vladimir Putin is. And so I could really see how you would look at this upstart who's not one of us. He's not one of the group. He's on the opposition. He's suddenly tearing apart your candidate who you were sure you were going to win. And he's talking nice things about Russia. How you stumbled into, and top of which he appoints Paul Manafort, this guy who's been supporting an abusive Ukrainian clown and has been a voice, a very, I won't say corrupt, but a very disreputable voice for people in the Ukraine, murderous people in the Ukraine, and he joins the gang. I can really see how you might say, well, it's our responsibility to investigate this without stopping to think like, hey, this is the FBI infiltrating an opponent's campaign. Maybe we shouldn't do this. That's the corrupting influence of power. It's not that it makes you evil. It's that it makes your good seem better than it is. It makes your moral sense, exactly what Tim Cook said, it makes your moral sense seem better than it is. If you weren't the moral person, if you weren't the good person, why would you be here to be the investigators in the FBI and the CIA and all these people? And now we see, today, or yesterday, I guess it was announced that the last man who was involved, Bill Priestap, his name is, the last man who was involved in these intelligence investigations into the Hillary Clinton investigation, which blew up so badly, and that she basically was excused for her reckless handling of classified papers because of Comey's arrogance, because of that arrogance of power that we've seen in James Comey, because he announced that, oh yes, well, I declare, as an investigator, he was not supposed to do this, that he declared that she hadn't committed a crime, which was nonsense. The last guy is retiring. They say it has nothing to do with this investigation, but it means that the FBI has been cleaned out of these people. All these people have either been fired or reassigned or demoted in some way because they forgot what power does to people, and nobody was there. And that's why when the press says, oh, we can't attack the FBI, that undermines the public's faith in our institutions. Screw the public's faith in our institutions. The public doesn't have to have faith in our institutions. The public, and certainly the press, should have eternal suspicion all powerful institutions and all powerful people. And that's why we shouldn't worship Donald Trump or Barack Obama or any of these other people who have power. We should always be looking at them askance, because we don't have angels to govern men, only other men. So Michael T. Flynn, Mueller has now put forward his recommendation that he receive no prison time for the absurd process charge they brought against him of lying to federal investigators. I believe it was an absolutely nonsense thing that they used. Look, think about it. Put yourself in Flynn's position. You make a misstatement, or you forget something, or you say something not quite right, and they say, well, now you've lied to us. We're sending you to prison for 10 years. And to defend yourself, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your family's going to be ruined. Your good name's going to be dragged through the mud. They're going to do everything they can. What do? You say, okay, well, how do I get out of this? And so he cooperated. And they say, well, he cooperated so much that we are going to let him go. And of course, the press, as ever, they said, oh, this is clearly a sign that the noose is tightening around Trump's neck. The walls are closing in. Here is Phil Mudd, the former CIA guy who oversaw CIA intelligence over Iraq when they got everything wrong when they got everything wrong. Here's the guy, Phil Mudd, is one of the people responsible for giving us the idea that we had to go to war in Iraq. But here he is on CNN, and here's what he says about this announcement that Flynn was probably not going to go to jail.
The specific references to cooperation on Russia. So if you put the quantity of information together, the fact that there's specific reference to Russia, 3 ongoing investigations mentioned in that document, I'm going to tell you one thing I take away. There's about a size 16 shoe going to drop here, and that shoe is not going to be related to lying or to just financial irregularities, which we've seen in the past. I think they're centering in on a core in the investigation, which is what Flynn and others are saying about cooperation with Russia. I think it's going to happen.
This must be the end of the Trump administration. Just ask the media.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
The beginning of the end.
And breaking news.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
The call for impeachment.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
The beginning of the end of the Trump presidency.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
It reminds me a lot of the last days of Nixon.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
And so once again, it's the beginning of the end of the Trump administration. I don't know what it means. It really does seem to me that they stumbled into, this kind of conspiracy mindset, and that because they had so much power and there was no one there to tell them no, and because everybody on both sides disliked and feared Donald Trump, there was nobody to say, you know what, you were acting badly and doing the wrong thing, and they have used this investigation. I'll be really surprised if Mueller comes up with a plausible case that Donald Trump was on the phone with Vladimir Putin trying to commit a crime. I really do, because first of all, collusion, as I say, is not a crime, and I don't know. And all they've got on the Russians so far is that they took out some ads on Facebook.